I've been on a bit of a health kick myself recently,
Hmm.
going to the gym quite often. And man, it's been nice. Like I'm trying to add some more years onto my life right now. Like this, I don't ever want to turn back from this. I've turned back from it a few times in my past, but man, this time it's like it's hitting the spot. It's really nice.
Nice. I feel like this is something I'm conflicted about because I feel like I don't have time for that. I do have time for working out, but it's either like that or like become financially free in the next 2 years or something. It's like, do I dedicate my time towards being physically healthier or do I build the base of financial security? And so I'm almost thinking like, I feel like I need to build the base of financial security before anything else because that's like always the limiting factor.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a thought to have, I mean, I definitely struggle with that decision as well. It's like, man, there's like between that, financial stability, working out, having relationships, school, like there's just so much, how do like we were just talking about a minute ago, like we don't have unlimited time. How do we choose? And I guess the way that we choose is just by thinking about our decisions and what we have, and it's like what's going to be lacking and what's going to be strengthened, basically.
You are listening to the Boundless Enigma podcast with Sam Zins
and Ryan Mulkentine. On this podcast, we dive into the mind, reality, and existence itself to provide you with boundless ideas and insights.
Hello, and welcome to the Boundless Enigma podcast. I'm Sam, and this is Ryan over here. And we just talk about a lot of random things, whatever comes to mind about life, reality, existence itself. You name it, we got it.
I think you just repeated the intro we already have on here.
In case you didn't hear it the first time, then you heard it a second
for
you. Yeah. So anyways, we're just going to talk about life.
Well, I have a question. I'd like to address, because our subscribers, you guys are not leaving comments for us. You got to ask us questions. So I'm going to create a question for us right now.
All right.
And that question is, do you ever feel antisocial? And what do you do when you're feeling like you want to be away from the world?
Dude,
is it a bad thing? Is it a bad thing?
Wow, that's a good question. It's funny you bring that question up because, like, just the other night, my girlfriend was telling me about how at Thanksgiving, we were at her family get together, and she could tell I wanted to leave about 10 minutes after we got there. And it was nothing to do with her family or her being there. It had everything to do with the fact that I just came from 2 previous family parties. And I was just wiped and feeling so antisocial and did not want to talk to anybody. So I guess my response in that case would be I just kind of shut down. I was so tired, and I just probably just seemed like I did not want to be there.
Yeah. So I mean, that's reasonable. I feel like that's reasonable, but what if you just have a day where you just wake up and you're like, I'm going to be happy with this day being all to myself and I don't need anyone else to be in it. I personally, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that some people, including myself, I am a very introverted person, meaning that I'm not like a shy person. I just really enjoy my alone time, and I don't think it's bad. I think it's just like a character trait. I think it's just a personality trait that a lot of people have that honestly is a good thing because Leo Gura has a YouTube episode called How Socialization Makes You Stupid. Because think about when you go out sometimes with a group of people and they're all just kind of playing this weird game about who can say the wittiest thing, who can be who can get the most attention with the crazy shit that they say or whatever. And it ends up just being monkey chatter and just mindless stuff. And at some point I'm just oh my God. I can't take this.
I definitely know what you mean by that. Yeah, and it's just like, come on, can we like talk about some real interesting
Yeah.
stuff here, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just
Something.
like is that a bad thing? Is that what he was saying?
No, he's saying like that. Okay. His point was like socialization isn't necessarily a bad thing, but if it like goes against your values, like if like you having to be extra social ends up like going against your own values because like you want to be, I don't know, I don't know. He was just saying like socialization can like step on your toes a little bit. It can kind of like be
Hmm.
a distraction to true the good quality of life, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. And you can definitely get caught up in conversation that you would maybe normally not be caught up in if it weren't for the fact that there were people that you were around that were talking about that kind of stuff, you know? Sometimes that's not a bad thing, but other times it can maybe be a bad thing in terms of, it could start tailoring your life to that kind of
Right, right.
conversation.
Yeah, but you know what? There's nothing wrong with just being like a fucking idiot once in a while, and
Oh, yeah.
so it's like I mean it's a I guess kind of why I asked that question to begin with was because I guess I'm wrestling with it myself about
Uh-huh.
like I think there are two sides of like socialization annoys the fuck out of me a lot of times, but there are sometimes where like I do just want to be silly and have mindless conversation and just be stupid. I mean, probably not that
Yeah.
often though, but it's not bad.
Same. But yeah, absolutely. I think that is necessary to like keep that like inner child, so to speak, like it's not like life doesn't need to be taken that like so seriously to the point where you can't have that like jokingly lighthearted fun, but I get what you're saying. Like I'm definitely the type too to where I like to be serious, like not like super serious, but
Yeah,
also
not
I feel like serious is the wrong word because serious kind of like implies that it's like, oh, no fun, you know?
You know what it is? I think that these like kind of lofty topics that we like to talk about, it seems like intense and like serious to a lot of people, but to us, those topics are like light and interesting and fun to talk about. But to other
That is
people,
true.
it like scares them a little bit.
Yeah, that is true. I definitely get that vibe sometimes when I'm talking to people about like more abstract things that they'll kind of start to like kind of distance themselves. And then I obviously I realize it and then I like stop going there, but it's just kind of interesting how like yeah, like with you I can just talk about like the most abstract thing possible and you'll be like yes, that's great, but then some people it's just
Yeah.
like they clearly just are not entertained by that, they'd rather talk about like sports or something a little more lighthearted, so to speak.
I do like to like challenge people in social situations. Like
Hmm.
last weekend, my roommate had a party. He had some people come over to our apartment. And like I said, I recently, for some reason, have just not been in the socializing mood. But I had to put up with this. He's my roommate, and I have to respect him. And so I let him have this party, but I wasn't like super happy to be there.
Yeah.
So I kind of like took my own like attitude towards it, kind of being like, well, I'm just gonna be myself anyway. And if you guys are being stupid and talk about random stuff, then I'm just gonna like, I'm gonna listen, and I might judge you, and I'm also probably going to like try to bring my own spin to it of bringing some deeper talks in here. So like, I don't know, everyone's just kind of talking. I don't know what they're talking about. They're monkey chattering about like literally nothing.
Yeah.
And this one guy, I was just like, hey, like, what do you what do you want to do with your life? Like, you know? And he's like, well, I want to own a business. It's like, well, what kind of business do you want to own? It's like, I want to own a weed store. I want to like get like a weed dispensary license. And then we just started talking about that. And I was like, well, why do you want to do that? And And he was like, well, because I want a lot of money. He's like, well, why do you want a lot of money? He's like, well, because I want to have financial independence. Like, well, why do you want to have financial independence? And we just kept going down and down, further and further down, until it was like, oh, like, you just want to be happy, you want to be at peace, like, this is the whole reason. Whereas I feel like anyone else that would be like, what do you want to do with your life? You'd be like, oh, I want to open a weed store. I'd be like, yeah, bro, weed.
Money,
like,
weed, what gets better than that?
Versus like, yeah, exactly. Also being like, I don't even know, like, they keep it at the surface level, but I feel like I wanted to like dive deeper with this guy, and I think he like kind of like, he liked it, and he opened up a little bit. He's like, yeah, like, I want this, and like, these are my business
awesome.
plans. Yeah. So like, that was nice that I could put a intentional spin on things, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think this is more like general around what you were just talking about, but I love how you said you put your own spin on it, because I think that by doing that, you can do that in any situation and end up having fun. Because like, I feel like nowadays a lot of people have like dependencies on like X, Y, and Z to be there or to happen in order to have fun. And if those things aren't happening, if there's not like a TV there, if there's not like, weed, if there's not alcohol, if there's not girls, if there's not these different things there, then they can't have fun. But it's like, why not just show up and just whatever's happening is happening? And you know what? If those things happen to be there and you want to partake or whatever, sure, by all means.
Mm-hmm.
But, why not just have fun with whatever's there? And, I think by going on to these deeper levels of talking to people, it allows you to have fun with anybody.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, like, people use like these social situations to get something that they want. It's like, in order for the party to be like good for them, there has to be like girls there has to be alcohol. Like, that's their goal, is to like get something from the socialization.
Yeah.
So that leads to like all these conversations being super superficial, because they're just trying to like maintain their socialization until they can like get what they want. It's like, there's no motive for actually like developing something deeper there, because their motivation is so surface level that they have no reason to actually go deeper.
Yeah, it's like the curiosity is just like burnt out. And I like to speculate that like the reasoning for that is that because of our phones and all the immediate like gratification that we have at our fingertips, and then it kind of causes us to not really care about what's deeper, because why care about what's deeper when you have so much right here on the surface?
Damn, I definitely been feeling that in my own life recently, of like, oh, there's just so much like to stimulate me, and there's always like something that I feel like I should be or need to do. Or even if I find an hour where there's like, I've done everything, there's still like, oh, well, like, there's millions and millions of videos on YouTube that are just like calling my name, It's like,
I know,
there's always, I can't catch a break, man. And when I finally do distance and create space between like all the distractions and then just like being, oh, it's just like, oh, what was I doing? Like, this is so much better.
Yeah, it's so freeing. Like going and making like a meal without being on your phone or like having music going or anything of that nature. Like, just that, like the 5-10 minutes or whatever it is of just making something or just doing something in general without the stimulus is like so blissful. And it's like, oh my gosh, like this is great. But then what do? We go right back to YouTube.
Well, what is it like? There's like a philosophy on happiness that says, like, it's really old. It's from like thousands of years ago, that like some great philosopher, maybe it's like Socrates or something, said like, if you are doing an action to get to a goal, then that is not true happiness. And it's only true happiness if you're doing something for the sake of itself. So it's like, we're watching, I don't know, we're at the party for this thing, for the girls, for the alcohol, versus like, I'm washing the dishes, because I have to, but also because in this moment, if I could just surrender to the moment of washing it just in this moment, then now you're washing the dishes for the sake of washing the dishes, and it becomes happier versus like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost like I feel like if you have to put it this way, you could put it this way of like, you know what, I have to do this anyways. Why not enjoy it? You
Yeah.
know, or maybe not even enjoy it, but why not appreciate it? You know, I'm appreciating that after I wash these dishes, I'm going to have a week's worth of clean dishes, you know, and I'm not going to have to do it for another week or whatever.
I think it's also not about like forcing yourself to try to enjoy it, but it's more about like realizing that you can enjoy it. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
not being like, why am I not enjoying this? I should be enjoying this right now. It's like if you can just become super present right now as you're washing your dishes, you might like it might actually be nice. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that this was possible. So I
Right.
just
Yeah.
enjoyed it's like a
You know,
realization instead of like a should.
yeah, exactly. And something that helps me, I feel like, in situations, just it helps me enjoy things, is instead of asking myself like, why am I not enjoying this? I ask myself, what can help me enjoy this? You know, I love what questions, because what questions can get you anywhere. You know, why questions kind of are like you are looking for this reasoning, like, why am I not enjoying this? You know, instead
Yeah.
of a what question, ask like, what is it that I'm not enjoying about this, and what could help me enjoy it?
I do love a good why question now.
Okay, why questions can be good. I'm not going to say they're bad, but I love what questions.
What questions are much more tangible and like you can like get some like you can like make progress with like what questions. Why questions are like simply for like your own, it's like for the joy of just understanding.
Right. Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Yeah. I see, I guess why I like what questions so much is because in situations where you're asking people about something, I feel like what questions kind of get them to really get their minds going. And then once you get their minds going, then maybe you can ask a why question, you know? But like I feel like a why
Interesting.
question off the bat kind of just pushes them into an area that they might not be sure about yet.
That's true. That's true. I can see how that could make someone feel, especially if they're uncomfortable with like deep topics, because when you when you ask why, when you ask the word like why, what that's registering in someone else's brain is like, think about it more. Like think about it more and then come back to me is what you're saying. Essentially.
Yeah, right.
So then, but people don't want, especially if they're avoiding something or if they're lying to themselves or like something's uncomfortable to them and they're just trying not to think about it. If you ask why, you're basically like creating discomfort for them in their mind.
Yeah, like it's obviously not an attack by any means. I mean, I guess it could be, but generally speaking, not an attack, but maybe to somebody who you're talking to that could be an attack. Because I feel like defensiveness, like I think about this honestly a lot. Like I feel like defensiveness nowadays is like super high. Like I see so many people are so defensive, and I don't know what the cause of that is or what, but I notice based on the way that you talk to them, they can become far less defensive. So I don't know.
That is interesting.
It's just something I oddly notice often. I feel like I used to be defensive. That's why.
I was gonna say, I feel like I notice myself being defensive sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I mean it's not like it's a crazy abnormal thing, but I just feel like I notice it a lot, and I feel like that's maybe because I used to be a very defensive person, but now I
What did that look like?
It looked like a lot of resistance and a lot of just lying to yourself because you don't want the truth. You know, because like I mean, if you're being that defensive, like you're not going to find much truth because you're just, you know, feeding yourself your own opinion. Basically, you know, you're like, you shouldn't be doing this because of that, and it's like, oh no, I should be doing this, like because I want to do it. You know what I mean? And it's like you're not really listening to why you shouldn't be doing that.
Interesting.
It's like closed-mindedness.
Could you get like specific at all? But like what was an area of your life that you used to be like more defensive about?
I feel like maybe with like my studies, like, and just how like I just never enjoyed it, and I never like got super good grades. You know, they weren't horrible, but they were never like super good or anything like that. And I never tried to act like they were super good, but I always try to act like I wasn't struggling in it. But I totally was struggling in it. And I just, and that was honestly partially just because I didn't really care enough to So I guess that maybe is a bad example because that was partially because I just didn't really care enough. But I can't think of an exact example. I guess with my dad, like I would get defensive because like, I wanted to be right. Like I feel like that maybe as a child to a parent, that's kind of a stage that you go through somewhat, is just getting defensive about things and thinking that you're right about things when, maybe you're not. So definitely with him, I definitely recognize it. And it's like in my head, I'd be like, oh, I know that wasn't right. Or I know he was right, but like, I don't want to admit that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely felt some resistance with like me and my dad. Like a few months ago, maybe a year ago, like there was definitely like something going on with some resistance until recently. When I was telling him about how I want to like start my own business, like create a blog, a YouTube that will end up making me money or whatever. And like, I think at first he was a little resistant to it like a while ago, but like last month we had a conversation about like how we started talking about like business models and like how it could actually be done. And he's like starting to like see that I think he's starting to see that like I am my own person and like I want to do what I want to do. And like the best thing that he can do is just to kind of like offer me the support, whether that be like ideas or like his own intellect or like his own experiences. So
that's
there definitely
cool.
seems to be less defensiveness between both of us, which is cool. It's very cool. It's nice.
Do you think that could be related to the fact that you were being more vulnerable to him? Like, even though like, building a business isn't like, the type of vulnerable maybe we wouldn't normally think of, but like maybe within your relationship with him, that's a form of vulnerability?
It definitely, I think you're right. Yeah. Because there was a moment when I went home for Christmas break where we went to go golf, and I was like telling him like my dream of a career would be to like have a brand around spirituality, meditation, deepening your life through like spiritual practices. And there's a moment where I was like, I feel like you're like not taking me seriously. I like said it out loud. I was like, I like feel like you don't take me seriously, like when I'm telling you this. And he was like, why would you say that? Like, why do you think I'm not taking you seriously? And for a moment, like I was kind of like, oh, I guess like maybe I was expecting him to like judge me when he really wasn't. And then after that moment, I think we were both much more open about like about that whole area of my life right after that. So it was almost a confrontation, which was vulnerable, saying that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like with our parents, or I guess I'll speak for myself in this case, like I feel like those vulnerable moments can sometimes be far and few in between. And I feel like having those moments like you had with your dad can really help a relationship so much, and like it can carry on for a long time, and I feel like sometimes maybe in my case, like I'm not vulnerable like that often enough, and even in other relationships. And I feel like that can kind of sometimes hurt me because I don't realize that, oh, it's okay to be vulnerable and it's okay. Sometimes people like in your dad's case, like you felt like he was rejecting you for a little bit, that's going to happen, but you've got to fail in order to become better,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I feel like there definitely is some, I don't know if this is the case for you, but I feel like there is like this weird thing about like father-son relationships where like you don't want to get too close because like men are supposed to be kind of stoic. It's like this unspoken rule of like, don't be too sensitive with each other, Yeah.
It's so weird, but then I see some dads who are really good at being, not
emotional
stoic, but like
open.
But it sounds like, exactly. And I mean, that just isn't my dad, and it sounds like it might have not been your dad as well.
Not my dad either.
So we have like similar experience in that case. But yeah, like I said, I see dads who are like open and nourishing, and it's like, oh wow, like that kind of like opens your mind to the fact that it's like, okay, this is possible. Like it doesn't need to be so stoic. There's times where stoicism can be helpful, but not all the time.
I think like in a family dynamic, the important roles get like differentiated. Like the mom will take on specific things and the dad will take on specific things, especially in a family dynamic where like one person is the sole provider of like financial stuff, and then the other person is like the emotional and like the growth support for like the rest of the family. Like that's a very like traditional American family, I feel like, where like one parent is the worker, the breadwinner, and they're kind of like they then shift the emotional responsibilities to like the mom or something, which that's like very stereotypical, but it's a pretty usual scenario that is true in my case.
Yeah, same
But
here.
I think as my dad ends up like retiring soon, he's not gonna have that role anymore. And then I think he's gonna end up, I'm thinking he might like soften up, open up a bit, because he's gonna have more time on his hands. I think he's just gonna end up picking up some more of the stuff that he maybe neglected. I'm not saying that I was neglected or anything, but I do think that like he might have a need of emotional connection with us, me and my sister, coming on here. Like I think in a few years he might start to find that more important. That's my hypothesis.
Yeah, he's gonna do some like soul searching, so to speak.
I think so.
I definitely get what you're saying. Like, and I feel like this like could. I feel like it doesn't sound like this, but I just want to clarify. Like, we both have good dads. You know, it has nothing to do with not being a good dad. It's just how it worked out. Like you said, the family dynamic. You know, and that is completely normal. And I feel like it needs to be talked about a little more, because I feel like what we're talking about right now is something that I was never really made aware of. Like, I was always aware that like, yeah, like my dad goes to work more often and then my mom stays at home more often, you know, but I never quite understood like the effects of that and how neglected my relationship with my dad would be because of that, you know. And then now that I'm older, I've you know, obviously my mind's expanded and I've started to realize more things, and it's like it's obvious that that's the case, you know. And now I feel like I'm at a point where it's like, okay, how do I fix this, you know, and also how do I find the time to fix this, or not fix it, but nourish it.
Yeah. Do you know Steve Jobs? You know Steve Jobs. We all know,
I know Steve Jobs.
All right.
Mr. Jobs.
So Steve, my boy Steve, he had this interesting quote that was like, someone interviewed him and he was like, what like is your biggest like regret in life? One of the most productive men in the world, who's created an amazing company that's changed millions of people's lives by putting phones in their hands and all these computer capabilities. His biggest regret ends up being that he didn't spend enough time with his family and foster those relationships. And it's like, having that purpose and passion in your life where you can build something is important, but like at the end of the day, you gotta have like, what are you building it for? Why are you building it if you don't have people to share it with, you know, or you don't have like loved ones that you're doing it for in a way? And at the end of the day, it's like, well, then the reason you're doing all of this really is like, because maybe like you think you're doing it because you have this drive and this passion, and it's just like, you need to make the world better. But honestly, I think at the end of the day, we come from genes of tribalism, of like a few select individuals that we care for in our lives that are our support circle, right? And those are the people that we care about. And if one of those main 10 people dies, like that's devastating, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like at the end of the day, it comes down to, you know, that group of people that you love, you know, those people that's what people regret, is that they don't foster those and love those people more.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point, because like I feel like that it can really slip away from you, you know, those relationships, like, because there's so much going on, like, you know, like with Steve Jobs, obviously, like there's so much going on in his life, you know, especially creating the iPhone and all this, you know, like he had so much on his plate, you know, and we are no different in the sense of we have a lot on our plates, you know, and it can be so easy to forget that we have relationships to take care of, that because we get so caught up in the things going on in our lives that don't include those relationships, and you're right. It's important to keep attached to those and take care of them, but it can be really hard because, like I said, like
Yeah.
time is a commodity, right? Yeah, that's the word. And like how do we take care of all this stuff that we want to take care of when we don't have unlimited time, basically?
Yeah, that's the most valuable resource.
Yeah,
because
it's like,
once that's, you can't get it back. You can accumulate more money.
right.
You can work out, get bigger muscles. You can get smarter, learn new stuff, but you can't get more time.
Yeah, that's
unless
kind of crazy.
Unless you are like really health conscious, and then you like put a few years in your life, maybe you can buy time.
That's funny. I was just about to say that. I was about to say, like, I guess in a sense we can buy a little more time, just here and there. But that's kind of crazy. Speaking of health, I've been on a bit of a health kick myself recently. Going to the gym quite often. And man, it's been nice. Like, I'm trying to add some more years onto my life right now. Like this, I don't ever want to turn back from this. I've turned back from it a few times in my past, but man, this time it's like it's hitting the spot. It's like it's really nice.
Nice. I feel like this is something I'm conflicted about because I feel like I don't have time for that. I do have time for working out, but it's either like that or like become financially free in the next 2 years or something. It's like, do I dedicate my time towards being physically healthier, or do I build the base of financial security? And so I'm almost thinking like, I feel like I need to build the base of financial security before anything else, because that's like always the limiting factor.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a thought to have. I mean, I definitely struggle with that decision as well. It's like, man, there's like between that, financial stability, working out, having relationships, school, like, and there's just so much. How do, like we were just talking about a minute ago, like we don't have unlimited time. How do we choose? And I guess the way that we choose is just by thinking about our decisions and what we have, and it's like what's going to be lacking and what's going to be strengthened, basically.
Right. What I do have control over, though, is like what I eat. So I do make sure that I am eating like fruits and vegetables every day and stuff. So, because I feel like, I mean, I relatively am in shape. I go for a run like 2 or 3 times a week, lift once or twice a week. Like, I feel like that's a decent amount to like maintain my physical health. And then I just eat decently throughout the week. I feel like that's going to be good to get me to when I am finally have a business of some sort that I can sustain myself. And now I have more time, and then I can start putting more focus and energy into those things. So that's my thinking,
Yeah, no, and I think that's super valid because, maintenance is a real thing. I mean, you don't have to be always lifting for like max weight, like maintenance is a real thing. And I think that's kind of I think that's a good point you bring up, because I feel like that can be kind of like skimmed over, because it's like, we all think of lifting weights and it's like, oh, like, why would you lift weights to not get ginormous? I feel like that's like a general thinking of going to the gym.
Well, that's like goes back to our culture of like always doing something because we want something, or like for like lifting weights to get like massive so that we can get all the chicks and everyone will be at the top of the social hierarchy. It's like versus like lifting weights to just be a healthy person so that you can be happier. Like, I feel like that's a much more pure goal.
No, you're so right, and it's such a real thing. And yeah, I guess I can sometimes get caught up in that too, of like like thinking like, oh, like I want to look big today or something like that, but it's like,
but obviously I'd love to be like super muscular. Obviously, we all would, right? Don't we all want to be in shape?
Yeah, Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
But like it also does feel amazing like after a workout and during a workout because it's like what you're doing is
Yeah.
beneficial for your body and it's
Yeah.
something in my case that I've been neglecting for a while, which I think is maybe why I'm on more of a health kick than I ever have been because like I said, I've just been neglecting my body for a while, so I'm trying to get back into shape and if I become big in that process I won't be hurt by
Sweet.
that.
Yeah.
But if I
Yeah.
don't get big, I won't be hurt either. I'm trying to
Yeah.
remain in the middle, and it's like what, whatever happens, happens. So
And there's also like people that are in this stuff because they want to see like they want to like prove to themselves that they can do something or like accomplish something hard. I think
that's
that's
true.
also a very like valid thing. Like people that do marathons, like there's not really any like yeah, it's good for you, I guess. I mean, actually, I think running a marathon might actually be bad for you because all the stress you're putting in your
Yeah,
body. But
right.
I think like people like do those things because they want to like test their body and put it to the limit so that they can like say like yeah like I'm resilient, I can do this kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's like that mind body thing, and it's a real thing. I mean, that's showing that it's one. They work together and they're not separate. You know,
Yeah.
and that's kind of going back to like metaphysical stuff, but you know, I think that's
Would you
something that's often forgotten.
would you run a marathon one day?
No, I don't like running.
You have no desire?
No, I like running in sports, but outside of sports, I don't like running at all. What
Yeah.
about you? Would
Huh.
you?
I think I think it's definitely a possibility. I do run
Okay.
like just for the heck of it because honestly, I know like not everyone gets it, but I get runner's high. Like I get a runner's high when I push myself.
Like what's that like for you? Like what's a runner's high?
Um, it's like when I run like just a little bit more than I usually do and a little bit harder than I like. Usually I'll run like a mile, maybe like a mile and a quarter in like 10 minutes. Um,
Uh-huh.
that's like just a usual maintenance run. But occasionally, if I like push myself to like 2 miles and I like, or I do a mile and a half just like
Mm.
faster, when I finish, I get off the treadmill or I finish the run wherever I am. And like, I just feel like very peaceful and like I don't give a shit about anything else. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm so dead. Like I just, it's like what causes those endorphins that are released in your body. But it's like this sense of like peace. It's the same feeling that like a very low dose of opiates would give you. This like kind of feeling of like everything is okay. Just kind of
Yeah.
like a peace. It just feels like like I don't know. I feel like usually in the gym I'll be self conscious, but after a hard run, I get the treadmill and I don't care who the
Mhm.
fuck's looking at me. I just feel good.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. I feel like I get that similar thing with lifting weights. It's like if I normally do 12 reps, I'll go for like 14 or something like that. And then after that 14th one, it's like, oh my God, that like it's like, oh, this I feel amazing, and it's like, but in the
Yeah.
process, it's like so hard. But then right after
Yeah.
you're done and you stand up and it's like, oh my gosh, that was so good. Like everything's okay, like
Dang.
you said.
I feel like we might have like a different like thing in the gym that like we are good at pushing ourselves in. Like I feel like when I lift weights, I I don't particularly like enjoy it. Like it's hard, but I can't like get myself to like push myself super hard. But I can get myself to
Yeah.
push myself in a run.
Okay, that makes sense. I hear you. I actually I kind of just discovered how to push myself in the gym like probably like a month ago, and so what I would be doing is like I'd be doing a certain amount of weight on like like the chest press or something like that, and I'd be like after like 12 reps I'd be like, oh, that was hard, but then I realized, you know what, hold on, like I'm not even pushing myself at all, like I can, like, yes, that was hard, but I can literally toss on like another 20 pounds, and I put on another 20 pounds and I was like, wait, I could put on like another 10 pounds after this. And then you kind of realize like
Yeah.
I was like almost being like easy on myself, you know? And then that's when I
True.
realized like this is actually
Like you're
hard.
lying to yourself in a way.
Yeah.
It's like you're
yeah.
like, oh, like that was hard. Like, oh gosh, because you're like, but then suddenly,
Yeah.
when you have a buddy in the gym and you're working out with somebody, suddenly you can like lift so much more because it's like, I
Yeah.
don't know. There's like this. I know what you're saying. It's like there is, you can do more. You deep down,
Yeah.
you can. Dang, this makes me want to go work out. I want to go work out after this.
I know. I'm literally
But-
working out after this.
Nice. I'm gonna go too.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
I don't know what
are
it
you gonna,
is.
Are you gonna try to push yourself?
Yeah, I'm gonna go run and I'm gonna go lift because of this.
Sweet.
But
Great, man.
yeah, why is it's like we almost coddle ourselves a little bit. We're like, oh yeah, that was difficult. Which like, yeah, I mean, you're lifting a lot of weight, but
Right.
you're not
right.
really pushing yourself.
Yeah, like it's not actually the most that you, or not even
Yeah.
not the most, but like not even like 90% of what you could
Yeah.
carry or whatever. Yeah, it's
True.
It's super weird, man. But yeah, no, I've just been enjoying it. It's a relief to feel like I'm in a groove in the gym because,
Yeah.
like I said, it's been quite a while. And man, the difference I've realized after working out for the first time like months ago is just crazy. Like at work, I'll have to like get fry boxes or whatever from the walk-in or whatever, and I used to be like only able to carry one at a time, and because like they're somewhat heavy. But now after going to the gym, like I can literally carry 3 of them and feel comfortable doing it. And I don't think it's that I couldn't carry 3 of them before. It's that I wasn't comfortable doing it before because like lifting weights, you kind of realize the resistance and you're like, okay, this is okay. I can carry this much, you know? But when you don't do that for a while, you kind of forget.
Yeah. Interesting. It's like when you're in the gym and you finally realize like, oh, like I'm actually not pushing myself at all. And then you start pushing yourself. Yeah. Then later on, you're like, oh, this is heavy. You're like, well, actually it's not.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
With the fry box,
exactly.
You're like, oh, actually I can pick this up with a little bit of effort.
Yeah, it's like I've only been working out for 1 day. It's not like I've gained a ton of strength. I've always been able to do this. It's just mentally, I just mentally wasn't able to get over the hurdle of actually lifting it.
Damn. Ugh. I know, I gotta get in there now.
I'm pissed. No, it's great, man. Yeah, I know your dad has some genetics that he might have sent down to you. He's got the massive arms and everything, man.
I know. I wonder if there's almost some resistance there of like to weightlifting because like my dad was so into it that it's like there's almost like I don't need to prove something to him. I don't need to get huge, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like maybe subconsciously there is something in there that it's kind of like I don't feel like I need to get huge because I just feel like I need to be healthy even if I'm a scrawny kid that my whole life. It's like, have you heard of blue zones or like blue areas around the globe?
I don't think so. No.
So like a blue zone is an area where people live way longer than anywhere else. So like
wow.
Japan, Okinawa, Japan, South Korea, Costa Rica, and like Greece, I think, and Italy. Those are like the main blue zones where there are a lot of like 100-year-old people.
Wow.
And you look at like the average like body type there, it's like they're lean. They're not bulky, they're not super muscular. They don't really do a lot of like muscular training. It's like what they do? They eat a crap ton of fruits and vegetables. Like that's the thing that like they just are active. Like they have stuff that they're walking around a lot. But they're not like gym rats. They just eat healthy and do something active.
That's so interesting. That's so cool that like just knowing that you don't even really need to do anything like outlandish to live long. Like you just have to be intelligent with what you eat and exercise a little bit, and in their case, like, they walk around a lot I'm sure to whatever markets or whatever, so that's their exercise. It's pretty natural for them, which is that sounds awesome. That sounds like a great lifestyle.
think people also, especially in the United States, like we want results quick, right? We want to be
Yeah.
healthy quick. We want to be as healthy as we can in 2 months, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we'll
How to
like,
get
get beefy,
abs
we'll
in
get
10
bulked
days.
up. Yeah. And then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm fit now. Now I'm healthy and now I'm fit. But it's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't work like that. It's like the people that are going to live the longest, they just consistently eat healthy and consistently like walk for 30 minutes a day. Like that's it. It's the long game, you know? It's the long game.
Yeah. 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 It's not like this quick, like, oh, I got to hit the gym 5 times this week. I got to max out like 5 different
Yeah.
workouts, you know? Like, it's just like, oh, no, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to work out a little bit and then go home and eat some fruits and vegetables. Like,
Right.
it's not anything
Not
too
that, like,
crazy.
hey, nothing wrong with like if you are actually passionate about like getting fit, like I think that's
Yeah.
completely valid. There's nothing wrong with
Right.
that. Like that's awesome. That's so cool. That's
Yeah.
something
Absolutely.
you're passionate about. But it shouldn't be something that you're like, if I to be the healthiest person, I need to be ripped. It's like, no, you can live a healthy life
Yeah.
as a lean person, which is probably
Yeah.
what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah,
Living the
absolutely.
lean
You know,
life.
Shit. No, and it's just it's dependent on what you want. You know, like you can train for maintenance, like you are, or you can train for like hypertrophy or strength or power or speed. Like you can train for anything, and it just depends on what you like and what you want. You know, and
Yeah.
I think that's important to realize, and that's something I never realized until I just got back into working out. Because I've been listening to some Andrew Huberman. Are you familiar with him?
Oh yeah, he's cool. I like him.
I love Andrew Huberman. I've been listening to quite a few of his podcasts about
Nice.
just nutrition and just general health, working out, sleep. He's got like something on everything, and that's literally. I think he's a professor at Yale. Is that right? Or Harvard? No, shoot. I don't know. He's at one of those top colleges, and he's literally giving you all this knowledge. So like the guy knows what he's talking about, and man, it's kind of crazy how much you kind of, after listening to one of those, you kind of realize like, wow, like not that you have to live your life just like that to a T or anything like that, but it kind of helps you, kind of makes you realize like, wow, in my life, I'm lacking in a lot of areas, you know, in terms of health.
Yeah. True. I actually just watched a YouTube video about like water from him. Like there's one about how like you watched that one?
Oh, yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
like some water is like unhealthy and some water isn't or something. Like if there's like
He was talking about
contaminants.
how like he was talking about how like these pH waters, like high pH like body armor water or whatever. He said those are actually like not good for you because your body is like super good at regulating pH to where you just need to drink like natural spring water. Like you don't need any extra pH. As a matter of fact, extra pH is only going to harm you if you take it in like excessive amounts. So it's kind of funny how that works, but
True. Interesting. I know that like the average American diet is like higher in acidity. So I wonder if like I wonder if it really makes a difference on your mood if you like start eating like more fruits and vegetables and like cut out like greasy acidic foods. Like do you actually start to feel like happier? Like does that work like that, do you think?
Well, I can tell you from experience, yes, because I recently, you know, since I've been working out, I've been more health conscious overall. And like at work, I would used to maybe like eat some fries every now and then or like have a burger or whatnot. And I still every once in a while will, but not nearly as often as I used to. And man, like now after I eat like a few fries, like I can literally like feel like up in here in my chest, like clogged. Like it's like literally
Dude.
like that grease.
This is the problem I have with
Nasty.
bulking. When I'm bulking, when I used to like be really into getting bigger, I would have these giant like 1,000-calorie smoothies after a workout, and it's just like, oh god, I felt terrible afterwards. I just felt like I just couldn't do anything. I wasn't very productive. I was like depressed my mood for like 2 or 3 hours, and it's like I just feel so much better if I eat lighter meals throughout the day. Like that's why. How do you bulk like in a way that doesn't do that?
You know, I think everybody's different. Maybe bulking's just not for you. I've not personally tried bulking, but I suppose if I did try to bulk, I would probably try to go the smoothie route too, because it's like, you know, easy 1,000 calories, like you said. But man, I don't know. I'm more of a light meal throughout the day kind of guy myself. Like I eat
Yeah.
probably like four meals a day just throughout the day, and they tend to be lighter. That's just how I like it.
Right.
But
Huh.
I don't know.
I'd love to know.
I would too.
Maybe it's just destiny that you have to suffer a little bit to get bigger. That can't be,
maybe
though.
that's
There has to be.
Yeah, no, there probably is. There's probably like better ways than not. But yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know. Maybe Andrew Huberman made a video, so if anybody's listening and curious about that, go visit
Check him
Andrew
out.
because he's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah,
Andrew,
Yeah.
if you're listening to this podcast, we'd love to have you on.
Yeah.
Because I know that you're a huge fan of our stuff. Our philosophical work that we do here is just such deep and intense research that we've done. So I would understand if you wanted to join our podcast. I think we could squeeze you in for a time slot.
Probably. Yeah, probably. As long as it's like on a Tuesday, we're not open any other days. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we can. I think we could squeeze you in at 1:00 next Tuesday. That's the only time frame we have left.
Yeah.
We're booked up. Other than that,
Yeah, we have a friend that's coming on, so he's taking up another time. Man, gotta love Andrew. What a guy, best friend.
Nice. Yeah, I'll probably text him after this, see if he wants to do the show.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I have to mute my phone. He keeps calling me, but no. Have you been have you been doing anything like specific, just health wise with your life, whether it be like physically, mentally, spiritually, like anything like specific at all, or
anything like specifically health wise, like mental health, physical health?
Yeah, just something like nourishing to you.
Oh gosh, I've been really neglecting my like mental and physical health recently, just because I've been like, oh God, I feel like I have so many projects that I'm working on, and I'm trying to go all in right now on my website. So I feel like all of my time goes to that, because I really am feeling like I need that base. Maybe I'm crazy, but this like primal part of my brain is like, you need the foundation. Once you have the foundation, once you have some passive income coming in from this stuff, $1,000, $2,000 a month, that would be amazing if I could reach that goal. Then that frees up all of this extra time for me to start working on these other things. You know what I mean? And so I feel like I've just been so laser focused on like building this thing.
Yeah, like you're in like overdrive right now, almost.
Yeah.
And you feel like you have to do that, or at least you want to do that to get that financial stability.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if I stopped doing it right now, I'd have so much more time, and I could get a job after I graduate for like $20 an hour. Like that's pretty good. I could get a job for like $20 an hour somewhere and be fine. But that would just mean that I would be in a 9-to-5 for the next few years, and that's something that I am just dreading. And so I would rather go through the process of like suffering a little bit now to put in the work and build something that will pay me dividends later on, so that I can then focus on the stuff that I'm neglecting now.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome to be able to feel settled almost, and just know that you have this income coming in, that you don't really have to worry about getting that 9-to-5 job. You can kind of find a job that maybe you won't even need another job at that point. But if you were to need another job, you can find a job that works better for you, that isn't 9-to-5, and like you said, work part-time. And
exactly,
I'm sure
that's the dream.
Feel so freeing. Yeah, that is the dream.
Yeah,
it's so freeing to like only have to work like 2 or 3 days a week at a a legit job.
I know. I keep that image in my mind. Like that's why I'm keeping on in this path, even though it is kind of, I'm getting burnt out. It's kind of grueling.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I have Easter break coming up here, because I'm gonna need some time to like refresh.
Yeah. And so, do you feel like you can't find a balance of a little bit of everything and still find that financial freedom?
No, I think I probably could balance a little better. The only thing though is like, I want to get there as quick as possible.
You're excited. You're excited.
Because the goal is part-time, to be able to work part-time by the time I graduate. And that's in like a year and like 2 or 3 months. So maybe I am being kind of irrational about the way I'm going about it. I guess I have been really, really obsessed with it lately.
Mhm.
It could take my foot off the gas a little bit, but
You know what I think that could help you maybe is that if you just get a piece of paper and write down what you want to do and see if it makes sense to you, you know, like is this realistic, you know? And is
Yeah.
it realistic, and is it like, am I going to get to where I want to be? You know, because like I feel like
Right.
maybe, or what it sounds like. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like in your mind you have all this stuff going on right now, and like you want to achieve a lot of different things, and obviously financial freedom or stability is one of them. And it's just hard to find a balance because there's so much.
Yeah, I wonder if like writing it, I guess that could help, like writing it down and like getting a concrete, like putting on paper makes it more visualizable and like concrete. And I can see like, oh, like, am I asking too much of myself with this here? I have actually on my notes thing on my desktop here, I have like it says like main project at the moment. I have 3 main things that I'm working on that like, I have my website, I have my secret YouTube channel that's making me money, which I'm not going to disclose. And then I have the Boundless Enigma podcast, which is this.
Yeah.
And honestly, the Boundless Enigma podcast, that does take up a good few hours of my week getting that put together, doing that. Yeah. And then the website, I got to do blog posts. Got to do like 4 or 5 blog posts a week. Got to do a YouTube video a week for that. And I got to post stuff to TikTok to get new followers and an audience for it on TikTok. So it's just like, it's a lot. But I have it visualized, and I can like, yeah. I think writing it down, I have written it down, but not maybe in the way that you're talking about, like journaling it.
Yeah. I mean, and speaking of journaling, man, I have not been journaling, and I feel like that would help me a lot too, right now.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, you know, similar to what you're trying to do, just visualizing, because like right now, honestly, that since we've been talking about this just now, I've kind of realized like I don't have much visualized right now at all. Like I don't have much visualized. Like I'm just kind of like, I'm so like engulfed into like, I feel like so many things right now. And you know, I think maybe what would be a good idea for me is doing what you did and write down like top 3 things right now that I'm interested in and want to pursue, and then kind of maybe go from there. Or maybe I'll just write a list going from 1 to whatever of what I'm interested in, just to see everything that I'm in right now. You know?
Yeah, I think it's important to like have a few major focuses, because I know that might be like difficult, especially for like people like you and me who we like the variety, we like diving into new things and like starting new projects and stuff. But how can you get any of them done in depth if like we're spreading ourselves too thin?
You're right. And I feel like that's probably, I feel like that is what I'm doing. I'm spreading myself too thin. And I feel like I'd like to, like, for example, with this podcast, I'd like to put more time into that. I'd like to maybe start a YouTube channel. I'd like to take more time to recognize my health, which I feel like I've already been starting to do, but I feel like I could even narrow down on that even more than I am right now, you know, and then also like working on relationships. And those are probably like my top 4 things right now.
So like what's like, if you had to like visualize your future, like 5 to 10 years from now, like what would you hope was like in that life versus like your life right now? And like, and then from what you want your life look like in 5 years, then you can kind of be like, okay, what are the 3 things I need to focus on to make that actually happen?
Oh, that's a good question.
You know,
I feel like what I would like is financial stability. I would like solid relationships. I would like to be physically and mentally healthy. And I would like to just not, I guess this is more so something I would not like. I would not like to be in school. So
Yeah, me too.
I would like to find a path. I would like to find a path to get to all of these things that doesn't involve school. And I guess the three things that would help me get there would just be to, I think, honestly, just journal and really take myself a little more seriously. Maybe not seriously, but
Yeah.
but really think about it more instead of kind of like spread myself thin. Like I said, I feel like I've been doing, and kind of test some
Honestly,
waters.
in a way though, I'm kind of jealous of like the like laid back nature that you have right now for your life.
Mhm. Yeah,
I'm a little bit jealous of it because like I feel like I'm like burning myself out.
yeah,
But it's like I think maybe like I could take a little bit of your philosophy and like calm down a little bit and relax a little more, and maybe like you could take a little bit of my philosophy and like visualize a little bit like of what goals you want to accomplish in a way.
dude, that's actually hilarious because I think what you just said is completely correct. You know, like I feel like I'm way too laid back, and I feel like you might be way into overdrive. And I feel like maybe if we kind of met in the middle, then maybe that would create a better balance for both of us.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I think like after this, okay, here's what I'm gonna do after when we finish this podcast. I'm gonna like revise like what are my top goals and like really like shave off the excess of like what is it that I am spending time on every day that is sucking away my time that I don't need to be doing, and what are the 3 things that I need to actually do every day, so that I can like have more time to go for a walk, take in the day, you know. And then I'm gonna go to the gym, do a run and a lift.
getting that lift on. Yeah, no, that sounds like a good plan, man. You know, and I think everything starts with a plan, and you know, then it's just about putting it into words and into action. You know, that's just sometimes the process. You know, I think it goes back to just loving the process. You know, we're just figuring out how to find this balance, and right now we just don't have that balance, but that's okay because it happens.
True. I mean, that's the thing about how do you think a balance is struck? Like you kind of have to go a little bit too far on each side until you can, and then correct a little bit, go a little too far, correct a little bit until you can eventually find that center better.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's like, it's a never ending process because there's always going to be more and new things that come up that we got to filter into the balance. It's about that equilibrium, just finding it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Dang. Well, I think we can finish up here.
Yeah.
Finish up
I think we ended on a good note.
All right. So leave us some questions, goddammit. Put them in the comment section below.
Please.
And we'll answer them. Please ask us some questions. I'm just dying to answer your questions because we're obviously highly intellectual people that just know.
I mean, look, come on.
I'm friends with Andrew Humerman. He's going to come on the podcast soon, probably. Come on, guys. Ask me some questions. Let's go.
Yeah, we know what we're talking about. Come on.
All right.
But thank you for listening. If you're listening right now, well, actually, that makes no sense because if you're listening, you would have heard that. So thank you for listening. Drop a comment, drop a like, subscribe, and until next time,
adios.
peace out.